Alright, so this right here is our soybean food plot. We got two little sections separated by a real nice sorghum wall. And as you can see, they're really thin. We just did not have good germination at all. Last year we had way better germination, and last year a lot of the ag fields around us were all soybeans, where this year they're all corn. So that's putting a ton of deer browse on our little tiny soybean food plots this year. And that brown sprayed off strip right there, that's all recently planted switchgrass. And everything above it is all pumpkins that we plant and sell. And up there in the top where the pumpkins were a little thin, in between some of the rows we put in some winter greens, some beets and greens, and even a row of sorghum, just to add more winter food for the deer. And that sorghum I am just super impressed with. It's just super easy to plant. It makes a really good wall, better than a corn wall because it's thicker than corn. And it's just as tall as corn. Even from 100-something feet up like this, you can still see the wall. It's really well defined. I'm just really impressed with it, and I'm going to use it in future years as well. So that's it for this one. We're going to get on the ground here in just a second and show you some more. Alright, we're in one of the corner edges of our soybean plot here. You can tell that they aren't as thick as they should be, not as tall as they should be. But the deer have been browsing on them pretty heavy this year. But they still made a ton of pods, as you can see. Look at all of them on there. And then we, just with a hand seeder, corn planter, we drilled in like 3 rows there and a few rows here, but they kind of got scavenged out by the birds and everything. But as you can see, the few rows of corn we did produce pretty good sized cobs, which is amazing. Next year we're going to plant a lot more corn. That's our plan right now. So as you can see, our bean plot here is really sparse. Hardly any beans out here came up. The ones that did come up on this far edge here is just a little wet. Did get pretty annihilated by the deer, you can see. But the amazing thing enough is this thing's barely got any leaves. It's got more bean pods than leaves on it, which is amazing. Like this one too. I just hope these beans can fill out and turn into, good sized beans in there. Alright, as you can see, these beans right here are quite a bit bigger than the ones down on that end. But they seem to have just as many or even less pods than some of the bean plants that were shorter, that were just loaded with them. But these ones definitely do look healthier and haven't been as browsed on as badly. So, alright, right here is the edge of the pumpkin field. There's pumpkins in there, but we plant and sell the pumpkins, so we're not planting them for the deer. But in between the pumpkin rows this year, you can see we put beets and greens, and then this is a row of winter greens, and this is all winter greens down the edge here. And this right here is our sorghum wall. If you guys remember, we put this in when we planted the soybeans, sorghum and corn. It's already probably almost 8 feet tall, 8 or 9 feet tall, which is amazing. But yeah, we really increased our food plot acreage by putting all this winter greens, beets and greens, and even some dank and radish seeds further in there too. We didn't plant every row, but we planted most of the rows in this food plot here. So as you could see earlier with the drone, they were filled in a little bit. You could see like lines in there. So alright, we're up on the front side of the food plot here. You can see we have some kale here that we got. This is just normal garden kale that you'd plant to eat, but deer will absolutely love this stuff in January, and when everything else is dead, this stuff will be nice, lush, and green until the deer eat it. But you can see our beans here. We had beans here last year. I don't know what's going on, but all the beans are starting to turn yellow and kind of shrivel up. It's not looking good. I don't think they're done growing yet, because as you can see, there's like brand new pods. They're just starting to form, but the leaves are, ever since I sprayed them, they kind of looked like this, but you wouldn't think that the spray would still be affecting them. I just don't know what's going on here. Maybe it's something going on with the soil, but it's crazy here. We stopped planting the beans here last year, but then right here we didn't have beans where they're a little greener. This is the first time we had beans in this little corner here. So you can see that's where we had beans for 2 years now, and that's where we had beans for only this year, which is kind of ironic that these ones are nice, lush, and green, and these ones are starting to yellow and brown and shrivel up. So I don't know what's going on. Next year we're probably going to have to put corn here. I don't know if I want to do beans 3 years in a row. I just hope these beans that are just starting can still mature and turn into a nice pod with some beans. So we'll take you to the other soybean food plot. That one looks really good because that's the first time we planted anything there ever. So we'll take you over there in just a second. Alright, so we are at the back side of our ditch bank soybean food plot, I call it. This is a small little sliver. If you guys remember us planting this, it's maybe barely 1/8 of an acre, but we put in a little bit of corn up here on this corner up here, and it's growing really good. These cobs are here pretty small. Once you get in there a little bit, we'll show you. This little bit of corn we have here really did produce pretty well for us. It was a really good growing season. So. Alright, we're into the corn a little bit here, but as you can see, this is like one of the biggest cobs I've seen around here. Real nice big corn cob there. A few other cobs in through here too, but a lot of them are kind of smaller. So we obviously didn't fertilize this at all, but man, look at the size of that one. That's like at least 10 foot, no problem. That's how tall most of them should be, but we don't have much in here, so you can see there's a lot of cobs in there, so they grew pretty good. It was just kind of a test plot for the corn. Right in here we got a blank spot, and there's a few other blank spots, but not too many in this food plot. But I seeded in some wintergreens, I'd say probably almost 1.5, 2 weeks ago now. All those little brassicas coming up are them. We even got some good free fertilizer from the deer right there, just surrounding those brassicas. Alright, so these right here are our best soybeans this year. We only have a little section of them where they're this tall, about a little higher than waist. And you can see, come in here, they got tons of pods on them. They're already all filled out. And these beans are just really looking nice this year. That's the way a lot of the other field looked last year, but they just didn't come up that good over there this year. You can see all of them over there too are all about this high too. These are our best looking beans. Alright, here's one last look at the beans here. Like I said, this is just a straight, this used to be one of our ATV trails that we just sprayed and disced and then broadcasted the beans in, and it worked out really good. You can see what the spray does. Look how it just eliminates everything. It's just bare ground here versus where we didn't spray. That stuff is strong. Like I said, these are our best beans. And if you guys haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. And thanks for watching. We'll also be doing an update today of all of our brassica food plots, and that'll be coming out soon too. So stay tuned.